Hello, brothers and sisters of the Briar. Professor Jeremiah here. Well, in my last video, I showed you this pipe which I'd made out of Bodock or Osage orange. And it's really a great smoker. I've really enjoyed it. But one thing I wanted to do was try to come back and make the design which I intended when I set out with this one. And that's just what I did this afternoon. This afternoon, I sat down and in about 4.5 hours, I knocked out the pipe for the most part. There's still a few things I would like to have done, and I could have spent more time on it, but I started thinking, I just am ready to have this pipe finished today and smoke it this evening. And so I knocked that one out. This is the first one which I made, and as I said, this is only the third pipe which I've ever made, and the first one where I drilled all the air holes to it. The stem was a purchase stem which I added to it. Well, without delay, I'll show you some of the video and pictures which I took today of me making that pipe. I don't know if you can see the hole there. This is some very hard wood, and right now just really don't have a way of locking this down. I think I can go just a little bit deeper, but because of it jerking around so much, I want to make sure I hadn't lost my depth here, that I hadn't gone too deep. These are my gauges for making sure that I'm not cutting through the bottom of the bowl, and I'm getting the amount of wood real estate there that I need. I'm going to try to lock this wood down a little bit. My problem is all my good working tools were left in Nigeria, and when or if I'll ever be able to get them back is pretty much your guess is as good as mine. But as I say, the problem is this wood's so hard, it just wants to skip around in there. grain in there. I don't know if you can see that, but that is some nice grain down in that bowl. But we'll see. We'll continue with the process here. And what I'm using is a router bit shank. And that's the details on the bit that I'm using now. This is a rather big one. I mean, you can cutting diameter 7/8. So pretty big there. Well, I'll change out the blade here on my scroll saw. I'll change out the blade on the scroll saw and see what we're able to get here. And well, the camera's over here. It fooled me. Anyway, I'll change that out and see what I'm able to do. Now this thing was smoking most of the time that I was cutting it out, and I hadn't lifted it off yet, so we'll see what it's like. I'd mentioned to some of you that it was pretty burned, the last one that I did. Well, I'm going to turn it over to get it out. There we go. You see, that's how hard that bodock is. Now this part here I cut out with the bandsaw. But you can see how that bodock just burned, or how the blade just burned that up all the way around. It got worse. This is the last part of the cut. So this is what last time when I was sanding it, that's what got me off on my shape, was I was trying to sand this burn out. And then I came to realize that I was trying to sand out a flaw in there. Sorry, I got the fan on high because when this stuff's burning, it's really smoky. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. This is the second try, and I'm going to try to get the shape that I wanted the first time at this go around. See that color of that wood? See how you have that orange or yellowy color to it. This I'm going to try to have just a slight little bend to it here. Put my mouthpiece on it. I'm getting there. Okay, well we can see it's coming up. I fitted it with the stem already, drilled my air holes. And now we're really just going to be down to shaping it, sanding it, filing it. Look at the grain inside of that bowl. and that's what this is going to look like really when it gets sanded down. And it's a hard piece of wood, I'll tell you. Just even drilling out the air hole, it was smoking. And that's using a brand new, even for using a scroll saw. This is a brand new blade on the scroll saw. Somebody last time said, well, you know, it only was smoking and stuff because you had a dull blade. No, this time it's a brand new blade that is in here. And you can still see how it burned it. See, compared to the back of the bowl and the front. Now, what I'm curious about is you'll see right here, there's a little place here, and it just seems like sawdust, but I'm curious that once I start sanding it, if it may be a reason why it clung to that spot and this spot right here. And I haven't really investigated yet, but we'll see. And I'm probably going to end up bending this stem down just a little bit, but I haven't done that before. That'll be a new one, and I'm hoping this little ridge here doesn't look visible here, but you can see it there. I hope that doesn't give me trouble on sanding. Sometimes I get a little too aggressive on trying to sand places like that out. So now I just got to get this stem shape. That's something I didn't really have last time, is I didn't have a shank really on that last pipe, that much of a shank anyway. So I'm going to see what I'm able to do with that. Here's old Trooper curled up in a ball at the base of my shop. Well, I'll continue plugging away and see what I'm able to get out of this one. And this is again Bodock. This is my second Bodock pipe and only my fourth pipe ever. And the second one, which I've ever drilled all the air holes for. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm kind of hoping to have something that looks a little bit like my Bjorn, which I have. I know I won't get it to looking that good. I'm realistic, but hoping I can get something close. This nice Cumberland stem with it. I had to, you can see a little bit of light down here. I got to seat that. The stem's seated in here well, but it's not matching flush with the back here, so I got to get it to do that as well. I tell you, doing the air holes, doing the air holes and drilling out the bowl, that's the toughest part, I think. Now, I mean, of course, shaping it, I mean, you know, it's getting the shape you want, but getting this air hole to match up right at the bottom, at least using the tools I got. I mean, you can see I'm just using a inexpensive drill press and scroll saw and just a DeWalt drill. So anyway, we'll see what we can get there. Okay, so I'm just a little bit further along now. I cut the shank out here, and now I'm really just down to shaping it, and I'm really hoping I don't lose it on that. I don't know if I'll end up having to do this video in 2 parts or not. It really depends on how far I get today, but I got about another hour and a half, maybe about another hour, and see how much I can get done today. Okay, so we're a little bit further along in our sanding, and really it's just going to need some fine sanding and polishing. And I really like how the shank turned out on there. My problem is this part right here. That is the most difficult part to really sand along these sides. You can even see I don't feel that anymore, and that's really a burn mark, and I've been trying to get it out of there, but I tell you, I think some people stains cover that up, and for this one I'm going for an all natural. But you can see right here, I'm really not as pleased with that as I would like, but in the back made a terrific transition. I'm pretty much getting the shape I wanted. I almost wanted a little bit more of a saucer, though, a little bit more of a rounded edge out in here. But really, I hate to even go too much further on this because I just don't want to mess it up. It's turned out pretty good, but you can still see, that little part between the bowl and the shank, and I just really want to try to get that taken out a little bit more. Now this is without any polishing or anything. You see how this grain looks. Just an incredible pattern, and this is what you're going to get from the Osage Orange or the Bodock. This seemed to really, I thought at first it was a part of just sanding, but it really just seems to be a spot in the wood. I hate to work on it much more because, as we know, you work on it a little bit more and then you've taken down this side of the pipe and it's out of balance. And I noticed the grain, it really throws a bit of an optical illusion sometimes on how the bowl is, because I came back and measured and just checked everything, and everything's still centered and perfect, but the grain will throw a bit of an optical illusion there. But as I say, you can see like whether it's the old oils out of the wood or something, but it's real shiny. Well, finished it up here. This took me about 4.5 hours. I need to close this gap still here. You can see a little light, but look at this. Now, I didn't put any finish on this other than just polishing it just with a old rag, a little bit of carnauba wax, but not much carnauba. And then I had to, of course, polish up the stem there. I was able to get that place out of the back, so it makes a much smoother transition from the shank to the bowl. See that? I have to get that out. Look at this grain. I mean, it is not to sound like Bohemian, Northern Bohemian, but man, just look at that grain. It's really nice. And I mean, of course, when you start cutting into this, you never know what flaws you're going to get. I thought I really should put a tape measure here just so you can get an idea of the size. So we ended up right at a little over 7 inches, which is what I was aiming for. I wasn't wanting it to be too short, and I wasn't wanting it to be too long. So 7 inches to some might be a little too long, and you can kind of see that's not a small bowl there. But I have to say, I'm real happy with this. This was close to what I was going for. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a saucer shape, but as I say, I just partly I didn't want to set it to the side for another day, and really once I started going, I'm happy with how it turned out. Just all the transitions. This is where I normally have the most trouble. It's from the bowl to the stem, and this is only the fourth pipe I made here. And as I said earlier, this is only the second pipe where I've drilled all the air holes and started with just a raw piece of block, which you saw in the beginning. There's only one thing left, and that's to take it home and see how it smokes. Well, now that you've seen the pipe, here's again the finished product. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Now, what I was kind of going for, and I mentioned this earlier, but I was going for more of a saucer shape. That would have meant bringing this part down a little bit, bringing this in a little bit, and having it flatter, or kind of more of a squashed shape here. But anyway, here's the final product. Now I want to show you something. The coloration that you see in this pipe is exactly what this one looked like when I finished with it. And you can see how much it's darkened just from smoking it, being in my hand. So you can see really a clear difference. And now I'm seeing that the grain pattern was running the opposite direction on this. These both came from the same fence post. I have enough wood left over that I might can get maybe 3 or 4 more pipes out of it. But this pipe still, I have to say, I've been smoking it this evening, and it fits so great in the hand. It may not be the best looking pipe, but if you want a pipe that really fits nice in the hand, this one really is just, it's like it was made just right for perfect dimensions of just holding it and enjoying it. Well, this one, it's a good fit as well. Now, this is a longer stemmed pipe here, and the one thing that I always do when I purchase a new pipe, if I'm seeing the pipe prior to purchase, is I like to do my pipe cleaner test. Now, you can see there is just, that's how long the stem is. That's all that's left of the pipe cleaner there. And you saw how smooth it went in, and look at the pipe cleaner. So it just ran in real smooth. So look at that. So just, I'm not even really guiding it in. And look at that, how it just runs right in. This is only the 4th pipe I made. I'm not saying that this is anything great on my skill. Of course, the bowl looks like it could be centered a little bit better. As you know, I mentioned having this issue with getting this back portion, and in the end, it was perfect. It looks like a seamless transition, which I was having a little trouble, which you saw in the previous video of. Well, let's get it loaded up and break it in. This will be the first smoke on it. One of the difficulties which I had was trying to decide what I'm going to smoke in this pipe. And at this point, I'm going to break it in a little different. A lot of times I use my black cordial for the first smoke just to kind of break them in my own way. But I'm going to use some Cary Grant from Kramer Smoke Shop to break this bowl in. And I don't know for sure, but that may be what I dedicate to this pipe, is some of Cary Grant's blend. I have another pipe which I often smoke Cary Grant in, and it's really more of an English Arrow matic, and I've spoken on it before. Did a little review for Cary Grant blend in the past. And I'm just loading it all the way up here. And we're going to go at it. Now, this will actually expand a little bit and come up over the bowl. I'm sure you've seen some of my other videos where I have a pretty heaping pile once it's lit. Real good draw, but I'm still just gonna run this in there. Couldn't be any better of a draw. This to me is one of the hardest parts, is getting this shank drilled and having it just perfectly line up. It's a trick to it for sure. But this was only my second time to do it, and I nailed it again, just right on it. So maybe I'm a little lucky there. Looking for my tamper, and I believe I just dropped it. There it's going. It's a good draw. I can't decide if I want to put a little bit of a bend on this stem. I might. I just, seems like it's sitting pretty good though. Nice flavor for a first smoke out of a pipe made just, well, I guess I finished this pipe about 4 hours ago. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed the video of me making this. It's kind of hard to do a review for your own pipe. I'm wondering how y'all might like the shape of this. It's definitely more of what I was wanting. And again, you can see the difference. Look at the coloration, and it'll be interesting to see how fast this one darkens up. But doesn't feel too heavy either. I mean, this is a hard wood. Well, brothers and sisters, hope you have a good weekend, and God bless.